It's Rob and Sandra from My Wife, the Dietitian. Welcome to Nutrition Nuggets.
Number 19.
Number 19.
Yeah, we're doing health halo of different drinks, the myths and marketing.
Yeah, there's a few different drinks on the market these days. It's a little bit confusing knowing what's good for you and what isn't. So we're here to solve that problem for you.
Well, I think part of the reason, I remember in episode 74, Wendy Shaw from Craving Change was mentioning the variety of different drinks or the variety of different foods on the market now compared to, 40 years ago or 50 years ago. But yeah, they just keep the amount of variety of different drinks is just exploding in the marketplace.
Yeah, and they're all marketed to sound really healthy. That's what I don't like. So I thought it might be a good idea to sort of tap into that a bit here and discuss some of those kind of marketing, like Sandra said, the health halo on some of these products.
Yeah, and we're going to just define health halo and then talk about 7 different types of drinks, the marketing, and then the reality of what's in them and the bottom line.
Perfect.
So definition of health halo is basically it refers to the perception that certain foods or beverages are healthier than they actually are.
Yeah, exactly.
The marketing creates a positive impression or association with a product, leading consumers to believe that the product will bring them joy or better health or make their life better in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I keep thinking of, I think there used to be a Coke commercial and people were, jumping around and life is better when you drink Coke.
Well, it is, but yeah, no, I'm joking. I'm not a big pop drinker, so I can't really attest to that. But
yeah, and one of the 7 that we're going to describe would be the soda pop. Pop in Canada, soda in the States.
Yeah, exactly.
What they're called.
Sody pops.
Yeah, so the 7 different types of drinks. So let's start with fruit juice. So fruit juice is marketed as it's natural and healthy. And if people eat it, it's kind of like eating whole fruits. I think people are under the impression that, I can't, eat all my fruits in the day. I'm just going to have some juice and that'll be a serving.
Yeah, they think that's equivalent to having a piece of fruit, but it isn't.
Yeah. And really the reality is the fruit juice has lots of sugar. We talked about how making a cup of juice, how many oranges do you have to squeeze? Maybe 7 or 8.
Exactly. Yeah.
And each orange has a teaspoon or even a tablespoon of sugar or, a little, you just squeeze one little orange and you get a tiny little bit of juice. So you have to have like 8 oranges to get that cup of juice. And then you're getting the sugar of 8 oranges. So it lacks fiber. And a lot of the fruit juices on the market also have added sugars or artificial ingredients.
Yeah. It's not just juice.
Yeah. And if it is juice that you're freshly squeezing, it's still a lot of the fruit without the fiber. You're not getting the benefit of the fiber. So it's better to have a little bit of juice, maybe mostly water. Okay. Number 2 would be sports drinks.
Oh, that's the new one, right? Well, I guess they've been around for a while now, but they weren't around when I was a kid, I guess is what I mean. But that was a long time ago.
Well, and I think the marketing is that you need special drinks when you're doing sports or they're essential for hydration during exercise and physical activity.
Yeah.
But what's the reality?
Well, the reality is that they're really good at convincing you that. That's the reality.
That's right. So most people don't require actual electrolyte drinks or sports drinks for the type of activity or the duration if you are eating well. But if you're doing intense, prolonged workouts, you might benefit from a sports drink, but most people don't need them. Like
the Boston Marathon. That would qualify as intense kind of sporting activity, right? You might need one after that.
Right.
But for your little jog around the block on Saturday morning, probably not. Not required.
Water is pretty much the best fluid. Vitamin water is the next one.
Vitamin water. Yeah, that just sounds like it's got health halo written all over it. Just the name of it. You think, ooh, that must be good for me because it's got vitamins in it.
Yeah, that's right. And it's promoted as healthier. It's a healthier alternative to sugar beverages. And that it has vitamins. So it's enhanced with vitamins to make it better. That's what the marketing is suggesting.
Right.
But a lot of them actually have added sugar or artificial sweeteners. And those added sweeteners, actually, the nutritional benefits are overshadowed by those added sugars.
Right. That makes sense. I think a lot of these drinks, they're not the type of thing you buy when you're grocery shopping and you're reading the label and you're doing your homework type products. They're like a grab and go. Like you're on a road trip, you're running to get some gas and you're like, oh, I'm thirsty, I'm going to grab a drink. And you're like, oh, this one says vitamins on it. I'll grab that because it's probably better than pop. But really the reality is it probably isn't much different, right?
Oh, exactly. And I think the marketing, they have huge marketing budgets. Like the drink industry is massive. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's like different consumer groups and target markets that the different drinks are targeting, and they just do their marketing and then make you convince buyers that they need these products to live.
Yeah, exactly.
So energy drinks is the next one.
Right. That's like Red Bull and Monster and all those ones.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, they're kind of marketed as like a quick boost of energy and enhanced performance. And in reality, yeah, they might have caffeine, extra sugar, maybe different stimulants, maybe taurine, which is amino acid. And it could actually increase the heart rate, increase blood pressure, and cause sleep disturbances for people. So,
yeah,
you know, those are kind of the reality of the sports drink or the energy drinks. And they could be dangerous in younger drinkers.
Yeah, I had those a few years ago, and they're just a weird kind of buzz. I mean, they're like the equivalent of drinking like a pot of coffee all at once. Like there's just this intense, like weird caffeine, like your heart's racing and like you're all jittery. And I mean, I guess it's doing what it's supposed to do, but I'm like, I don't want to feel like this. This is weird. Like it was just an unwelcome feeling.
Yeah. And I know like people use them like to stay awake if they're driving, you know, long periods. And I mean, your mental alertness.
Dangerous.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
A mental alertness maybe, but you can't physically run or do anything that's physical to burn off the energy. So it's kind of just, it's detrimental.
Yeah. And you look at the labeling on those cans too. I remember like Rockstar was another one. They're kind of designed for like someone who wants to stay up all night and party. Do you know what I mean? They're like black cans with like Monster and Rockstar and all these like crazy names. And I mean, just pay attention to the marketing and who do you think they're trying to sell that to? Is that like something that's healthy, or is it something that's designed to like keep you going through the rest of the night and partying your face off? It's not a health drink.
No, exactly. And I mean, really, when people mix that with alcohol too, it's really dangerous, that combination of the stimulant effect and then the depressant. And I mean, that's alcohol's depressant effect. It actually slows the body down and helps you fall asleep and stops you drinking. But if you have that energy boost and the caffeine mixed with that, then it keeps you awake, keeps you drinking, keeps you, you can get alcohol poisoning and just, go off the rails. Like it's just really dangerous.
Yeah. Just despite what TikTok says.
The next one's herbal teas.
Oh, that sounds healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. And, their marketing is it's natural and healthy, but some do have added sugars and artificial flavorings. So you do have to read the label. Some have calming effects like chamomile tea, for instance, and, some of the herbal teas, and they don't have caffeine. So that's kind of the marketing ploy there. But they're not for everybody. And some people have allergic reactions or intolerances. I actually was allergic to chamomile tea.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I had it one time years ago, and I broke out in a rash, and that was the only thing different that I did.
Oh, wow.
And ever since, I'm like, I am not touching that stuff.
Oh, weird.
But that was just me. But yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I didn't realize there was other things in them sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, if it's just a bag of tea, it's different than some of the marketed ones are and the pre-made.
Right. Of course. Interesting.
Then the next one is smoothies.
Smoothies. We did a thing on smoothies. Was it last week?
Yeah.
Yeah, last week.
Yeah. Well, It was 2 weeks ago. Nutrition Nuggets 17.
Okay.
And all about homemade smoothies. So that was different than the ones I'm talking about, or the ones that the grab and go. Right.
Exactly. The store-bought ones that are using slightly different ingredients and products, I'm sure, that are more commercial.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Like, I mean, they're marketed as like healthy and with all these other ingredients and maybe it's a better option. But look at the label, because if you read the ingredients and you look at like the serving size, there's a lot of calories in a lot of those, and they have added sugar, like syrups, ice cream that could have like, unhealthy fats. So you just read the label. That is actually the bottom line for all of these.
Oh, for sure. And like I said before, it's not the kind of product when you're doing the grab and go, you're not usually stopping to read the label.
No.
And that's when you're going to be sort of consuming a lot of these kind of drinks. So.
Yeah, exactly. And we did do a Nutrition Nuggets 3, sugar and all its names.
Right.
So that would help with looking at what kind of, OS, like sugar is in this drink, a glucose, fructose, all the OS names. And then there's the syrups and the malts and all that.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good one to look back on.
Yeah. And also just for trying to get more water in your day. We did a huge episode on hydration, episode 26 last summer. And then a recent Nutrition Nugget 16 was all about how much water to drink and how much fluid we should be consuming most days.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Very important.
So the last one is pop or soda. And I'm going to actually combine both regular and diet, even though they're very different.
Well, I remember back in probably the 80s, pop started becoming, there was other versions of pop. You had the regular Coke, we'll say, and then there was Diet Coke, and then there's like Coke Zero, and like they're all targeted to sound healthier than the original. For people who thought that pop wasn't healthy, they're like, oh, well, there's Diet Pop, it's healthy. Or they want you to think that.
Right.
So those have been around forever, and there's so many different versions of different kinds of pop now, but
that's right.
I don't think any of them are healthy, really, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, pop, there's difference between because of the flavoring or the carbonation, the sweetness, caffeine content, and then the different brands. And so like the caffeine, for instance, you think of the dark pops or dark sodas that have caffeine, like Coke, Pepsi, those types. But even Mountain Dew, which is clear, it has caffeine. It has a fair amount of caffeine.
Yeah, yeah.
Generally, pop is just, empty calories because it's got lots of sugar, artificial sweeteners. If they are diet, it's got either aspartame or sucralose or stevia. And they might have caffeine or not. And they have this acidic nature. So they're just empty calories. So you're getting extra sugar a lot of the times. Or if it's diet, they're finding more links to the way that our gut microbiome is affected, and we feed our bacteria with what we consume. And diet pop can actually promote the strains of bacteria that are associated with weight gain and suppress the bacteria that are associated with leanness.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So
that's kind of ironic.
Well, so drinking a diet pop with your meal is not a really good substitution for drinking water with a meal.
Exactly. And you can always flavor your water. I mean, although that's just adding sugar to it too. Well, if you flavor it with like lime or lemon.
Exactly. That would be or cucumber.
Yeah, that's true.
Or mint leaves or, those kind of things are nice. And I think part of the issue with diet pop too is a lot of times people that drink diet pop really need that sweetness, that over sweet taste. And they're more prone to having a lot of diet foods that have that really ultra hyper sweet taste, and eating just regular food like natural vegetables and fruits doesn't give you that same degree of sweetness, and they taste dull and boring, and it's hard for them to eat just regular foods without the ultra sweetness.
Right.
So it's kind of like the routine growing up, being exposed to a lot of pop or ultra sweet foods and candy will kind of initiate that sweet tooth. So it's good to try to have more natural foods and try to just have that taste for Mother Nature's sweetness, which is like fresh blueberries or foods that are sweet, but in a natural way.
Yeah. We did that thing on curbing your cravings, right? That was a lot to do with sugar cravings and some strategies to sort of move away from that. Sandra's like
episode
something.
Episode 25. So the thing with sugary drinks, so a lot of the ones that we just mentioned are sugary. They do have added sugars. So there's 13 things that happen. It can lead to weight gain. They can lead to increased risk of diabetes, increased risk of tooth decay.
That's an obvious one. Yeah.
Yeah. It's drilled in your mind when you're a kid that
Drilled.
pop leads to cavities.
Yeah.
Poor nutrition because it displaces other fluids like water or calcium-rich fluids.
Yeah, for sure.
It increases risk of heart disease. There's a connection there. Increases risk of certain cancers like pancreatic and colorectal, endometrial. It can be associated with fatty liver disease. We talked all about that episode 39.
Right.
Bone health. So it can decrease your bone mineral density. And we don't know if it's because it displaces the calcium-rich fluids in the diet. There's research in young women or teen girls with high levels of pop intake and then having a lower bone density. But it also could be related to the phosphorus in the pop that is displacing the mineral composition of the bone, the growing bone. It also disrupts the gut biome and their microbiome. So we did one on episode 73 with Projecta, all about that. And it could be connected with the addiction to craving and sweets, which we did an episode on. And then there's also risk of gout. So that's an increased risk of gout. And that was episode 61 that we did. And increased risk of kidney stones. We just did that episode 70.
Wow. So there you go.
So a lot of reasons that sugary drinks can be detrimental to our health.
Right.
And that really reading nutrition labels and ingredient lists versus relying on marketing claims or packaging and drinking more water, just, like filtered water or water from the tap. It's our basic human need. So if you can drink more water, that will be better for your health.
Yeah. There's nothing like a nice cold glass of water too,
Yeah, I think I want a glass of ice water right now.
I bet you do. Exactly. Awesome. Well, hopefully that gave everyone a few tips on avoiding those sugary drinks. And like Sandra said, just try to focus on the water. That's Mother Nature. Like, we have water for a reason. So
yeah, moderation is key with the other drinks.
Exactly. All right. Well, join us next week. We'll be back Monday with a full episode. You can check out our social media pages in the meantime. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You can visit our website. We've got new things on there all the time. That's mywifethedietitian.com. If you have questions or comments, feel free to email us. mywifethed@gmail.com is our email address. And don't forget to rate and review the show. We always appreciate anything you can do there. All right. So have a good week, everyone. We will see you, we will talk to you next week.
Yeah, let's go have some water.
Water it is. Thanks for joining us today on My Wife the Dietitian. If you like what you heard, don't be shy. Leave us a comment or review, and be sure to share our podcast with your friends. If you'd like to hear more, hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on our social media pages for updates, episode trailers, and other odds and ends. For more info and links on what we discussed on today's episode, check the show notes. We'll be back next week with another informative and fun-filled episode.